You might have studied about it because it was widely covered by print media, electronic media, and we have seen some good editorials, some wonderful articles in leading newspapers. Okay, so the first topic relates with environment, and I hope all of you are aware that we are in the process of preparing a synthesis report on climate change, and in that series the working group 2 has submitted its report, which has been released. Okay, so what I would like you all to know, that IPCC, have you heard of this organization? Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. Okay, so IPCC, this sixth assessment report, this is in the process of being prepared. Sixth assessment report is in the process of being prepared. Okay, and in this series, right, in this process of preparing and publishing the sixth assessment report by IPCC, what we have seen this week, we have seen that the working group 2 submitted the report which has been published. Okay, submitted the report which has been published. So working group 2 report submitted and published. Now this was, covered by media with what title? That part 2 of sixth assessment report of IPCC published. How media has covered it? Because you cannot expect, media will always choose expression which can be easily understood by common people. Okay, so what is the way in which media has, media has covered the submission and publication of working group 2 report under sixth assessment report by IPCC? They have said that part 2 of sixth assessment report published. This is the title with which most of the print media has published the article, saying that part 2 of sixth assessment report published by IPCC. But what I want you, being a civil service aspirant, to know, that IPCC is in the process of preparing the sixth assessment report, and in this process of sixth assessment report, you should remember that this Feb 2022 working group 2 has submitted its report, right? Working group 2 has submitted its report. Now, those who don't know much about assessment report and IPCC, I will be telling you the key highlights of the report. I will be telling you what genuine concerns we should show, because there is something very significant for India mentioned within this report, and that should perhaps become the eye-opener for the policy makers, government at all level, and people at large in our country. Okay, so I will be telling you about what is there in this report. Okay, but before that, those who don't have basic understanding of IPCC, okay, so let me, for them, those who don't know that what is this process of preparation of the report, so you should remember that IPCC, Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, is the science body of United Nations. This is science body of United Nations, science body of United Nations. And this IPCC, right, this IPCC was established, was set up It was set up in which year? 1988. Okay, it was set up in 1988. And this body was set up, right? This body was set up when World Meteorological Organization, WMO, and UNEP joined hands. UNEP, so World and UNEP, you all must be knowing, United Nations Environment Program. United Nations Environment Program. Okay, so IPCC was established in 1988 as a science body of United Nations, and the two organizations which joined hand for creation of this special purpose body was WMO and UNEP, World Meteorological Organization, and United Nations Environment Program. And why we thought that we should have a science body of United Nations? Because by the end of 1980s, the world could see and sense the biggest environmental challenge in the form of climate change. By that time, we realized that the biggest environmental challenge which humanity is facing, on surface of planet Earth is none other than climate change. Climate is changing. Summer is becoming hotter. Winters are becoming cooler. There is very erratic nature of rainfall and snowfall. And above all this, shift in the season, okay, which is the most devastating facet of climate change. Season shift kar rahe. This year also you see, 3 decades before, the peak of winters in northern part of India will be in the end of December. But nowadays, the peak of winter is in the end of January. This much is the shift in the season. So when we realized that the biggest environmental threat which humanity is having is climate change, then the world leaders, they thought that let's create a special body, let's create a science body of United Nations, let this body study scientifically climate change, and let this body recommend that what should be the response which we should give collectively to this problem. So with this purpose, IPCC was established in which year? 1988. Okay, and ever since the day of inception, what they are doing? They are publishing report at regular interval related with climate change, and these reports are known as assessment reports. Okay, these reports are known as assessment reports. Okay, so very exhaustive study they will do about different facet of climate change, and then they will publish a report in the name or with the title what? Assessment reports. Till now, how many such assessment reports? 5 they have published. Okay, and the 6th they are in the process of preparing, which they will publish this year. And whenever they have published assessment reports, that year and next year, UPSC has asked without fail question both in prelim as well as main exam. So this is one event which you have to track very closely if you are appearing in 2022 and 23 exam. Based on my experience, I can tell you some question on assessment report will be asked either in prelim or main 2022 or 2023. Okay, without fail. This has been the track record. Okay, so first assessment report was published in 1990. Okay, AR1, First assessment report was published in 1990. The second, right, the second assessment report in 1995. Third assessment report, okay, in 2001. Fourth assessment report in 2007. Fifth assessment report in 2000, right, in 2015, and sixth, yet, going to be published in 2022, this year, 2022, this year. So initially, they were publishing it, at a gap of 5-6 years, but now what we are finding, almost 7-8 years, 7-year gap, every 7 year, a new report is what IPCC will publish. But the best part, right? The best part of this, that it's not that they will publish a report like this. What's the mechanism for preparing the report? Okay, so IPCC will constitute 3 working groups which will study 3 different aspects of climate change as an environmental problem. Separately they will study. No overlapping, no joint effort, no collaboration, very independent, very separate, exhaustive study by 3 working groups about different aspects of climate change. So one is working group 1, okay, and this working group 1 will study, right, what they do? They will study the scientific basis for climate change. They will always study the scientific basis for climate change. Okay. So they will give scientific evidence that climate is changing. Okay, and they will always try to see whether the change in the climate is natural or human factors have accelerated the pace with which changes are taking place. So they will collect scientific evidence, to conclude that human factors are responsible for certain changes in the climate in different parts of planet Earth. Okay, so first working group will always study about what? The scientific basis for climate change. The working group 2 separately will, study. Normally what they study the impacts, vulnerability, vulnerabilities and adaptations. Okay, issues of climate change, issues related with climate change. What impact climate change will, generate? Which part of the world, which section of human society, which all species, which type of ecosystems are vulnerable to such changes, and then how that region will have to adapt in times to come to minimize those ill impacts. Okay, so this working group 2 will study about impact, vulnerabilities and adaptation related issues of climate change. And then is working group 3, okay, working group 3, and this will study what? Actions right, actions that can be taken, to combat climate change. So how we can, right, how we can fight out climate change? What, right, what course correction, what action on ground, about that the study is done by working group 3. And once the 3 working group will submit the reports, then what happens? All the members of the 3 working group will sit together and then will discuss, and after in-depth discussion, they will finally publish what is known as assessment report or synthesis report. Okay. So, but first they will separately study. They will separately study 3 different facets of climate change. Working group 1 will study about the scientific basis. Working group 2 will study about the impact, vulnerabilities and adaptation related issues. And the working group 3 will study about the nature and the kind of actions which are needed to combat climate change. And once they will publish the report separately, then the members of the all working group will discuss together, and then end result of the discussion is in the form of a final report, okay, combined report, and that report is assessment report or synthesis report, right? Assessment report and synthesis report. So in current affairs class, I am keeping a close watch on this, right? If some of you who joined early may remember when first working group report was, submitted, at that time also I discussed the key highlights. Now what is in the news? The working group 2, during the compilation and preparation of the 6th synthesis or assessment report, has submitted the report, okay, and this relates with impact. Most likely in April, next month only, April 2022, the working group 3 will also submit its report, after which it will be published, and then finally will be the synthesis report. So when you will be going for prelims this year, what is important? Key highlights of the 3 working group. But when you will go for the main exam in September this year or maybe next May, a full-fledged question you can expect on synthesis and assessment report, right? Synthesis and assessment report. So the context, right? The context in which, right? The context in which, so this, right? What I said, this working group 1, published the report in 2021, okay, 2021, and at that time I remember that I discussed all key highlights of the report, but if in one sentence, if I have to tell that report, what it said? It said that this warming of 1.5 degrees Celsius more than pre-industrial revolution is going to be achieved by 2040. Those who are knowing Paris Climate Agreement, okay, so under Paris Climate Agreement, the world together will try to keep the rise in temperature, 1.5 degrees Celsius, up to 1.5 degrees Celsius in comparison with pre-industrial revolution. But what the report said? Forget about the end of the century. Only by 2040 this is going to happen. Okay? Only by 2040 this is. So working group 1, right? Working group 1 report, if is to be remembered in one sentence, during the 6th assessment report, during the process of preparation of 6th assessment report, if we have to remember WG1, what it said, this said, actually this report has warned, it has warned that 1.5 degrees Celsius warming was likely to be achieved before 2040 itself. Okay, before 2040 itself. Under Paris Climate Agreement, based on the intended nationally determined contributions, we have set an objective and target that by the end of this century, we will not allow the warming to exceed 1.5 degree Celsius. And then we will make, actually we have set the target that we will keep it 2 degree, but we will go all out to restrict it to 1.5 degree. But forget about that. IPCC report is giving a warning, pressing the alarm bell. It's high time, less lip work and more action on ground. All leaders, what they are doing, ठीक है, हर जगह lip work, that will not help. Firm action on ground. Otherwise, what's going to happen? Warming of 1.5 degrees Celsius is going to be achieved before 2040. So, very firm wake-up call the report has given. It's up to us. Okay? It's up to us. Whether we want to show sensitivity or whether we want to be like former American President Donald Trump, who used to say during his presidency that bloody there is nothing called climate change. It is a conspiracy of developed world to slow down the economic growth in developed countries. And he used to give example that during winters in America, we see, most part of America covered with snow and has, cold biting winters. And scientists bloody they are saying that, global warming is happening. And through that, he used to expose before the world how shallow, how insensitive, and I will go to an extent, how mad was he. Okay, कभी कभी shallowness जो है ना leader का बहुत दिखता है, that you don't know ABC of science, ABC of environment, ABC of economics, बहुत सारा, and he is not the only one. Many so-called great world leaders on various issues are exposing themselves that how shallow they are when they talk, with confidence when they don't know the ABC of that particular issue. Okay, so world, working group one report का alarm bell है, but अभी जो report आया है, this is working group 2, WG2, as a part of preparation of assessment report 6 or synthesis report 6. And what is the key highlights in this report? थोड़ा सा science है इसमें, right? What is the key highlight of the report? Key highlight of the report is that approximately 3.5 billion people okay, they are highly vulnerable to climate change in the world. They are highly vulnerable to climate change in the world, and this, right, and this 3.5 billion people, approximately 45% of the global population or world's population, okay, global population and world population are vulnerable, right, are vulnerable. highly vulnerable. The word used is not vulnerable. They are highly. Okay. And what is the concern for India? This report has identified India as one of the vulnerable hotspots. Okay. One of the vulnerable hotspots. Right? India has been identified as a vulnerable hotspot. Okay. And what the report has said, that several Indian cities will face high risk of climate disasters such as flooding, sea level rise and heat waves. Okay. So what is the alarm bell? What kind of alarm bell they have attempted pressing for India? Several Indian cities are highly likely to face high risk of climate disasters, such as flooding, sea level rise, heat waves, Okay. And some of the Indian cities, right, are going to, right, every likelihood that they will achieve, right, or they are predicted to reach, right, some of the Indian cities are also predicted to reach wet bulb temperature, of 35 degrees Celsius, if the emissions continued to rise. Wet bulb temperature. Okay. So some of the Indian cities are likely to reach what? Wet bulb temperature of how much? 35 degree Celsius. Okay. Some of them, right, for some of them they have said that they will achieve, they will reach 30 wet bulb temperature of 32 to 34 degrees Celsius, right? 32 to 34 degrees Celsius wet bulb temperature. Okay. And some of them, many part of India will reach, 30 degrees Celsius, okay, wet bulb temperature. Now those who are from science background, they would have understood the meaning of wet bulb temperature. Even if you have studied science up to 12th, okay, you may be aware about this. Those who have not, right, those who have only studied science till, 10th, and that too, okay, studying science only previous night of the exam and scoring high, उनको नहीं समझ में आएगा wet bulb temperature, ठीक है. So it's very difficult to make them understand. But normally, those who are from pure humanities background, arts वाला है पूरा, उनके लिए क्या होता है wet bulb temperature? We measure temperature, right, in different way. एक temperature क्या होता है? Bulb, within the bulb of thermometer is mercury. You know that? So if we just place the mercury, and then the temperature which it will show, that will be the air temperature. Okay. But this is misleading, because this temperature depends on, how much is the moisture content in the air, how much is humidity, okay, how much is the pressure at that particular, air pressure at that particular, because the inverse relation between temperature and pressure. Okay. So pressure high hoga, temperature impacted hoga. ओके अगर टेम्परेचर लो है तो प्रेशर हाई है, ऑल दीज थिंग्स, ह्यूमिडिटी हैज बियरिंग ऑन. सो आइडियली कैसे नापते हैं टेम्परेचर? वेट बल्ब टेम्परेचर इज व्हाट वी डू, द बल्ब ऑफ द थर्मोमीटर वेयर वी हैव दिस mercury within, we wrap that with a wet kerchief, cotton like cloth, okay, and then we take the air temperature, right? Then we take the air temperature, and if that is going to rise to 35 degree, you imagine, okay, ये बोला जाता है wet bulb temperature of 35 degree, human being cannot survive even if it is for 6 hours. अगर 6 hours हो गया wet bulb temperature in any part 35 degree, 35 degree, human beings cannot survive. And what has been predicted for India? There are 2 cities, very soon they are going to achieve, within this century itself they are going to achieve wet bulb temperature of 35 degree Celsius. Okay, 35 degree Celsius. तो फॉर द सेक ऑफ राइट, ये तो मैंने बहुत ही लेमैन्स लैंग्वेज में आपको बता दिया कि व्हाट इज वेट बल्ब टेम्परेचर एंड व्हाट इज ड्राई बल्ब टेम्परेचर. सो वेट बल्ब टेम्परेचर क्या होता है? वेट बल्ब, इसको हमेशा WBT बोलते हैं. वेट बल्ब टेम्परेचर इज द लोएस्ट टेम्परेचर, इज द लोएस्ट temperature, okay, lowest temperature to which air can be cooled, air can be cooled by evaporation, air can be cooled by evaporation of water, evaporation of water into air, evaporation of water into air, okay, evaporation of water into air at constant pressure. This is very important. We will have to keep the pressure constant, at constant pressure. So actually, right, I told you, that temperature of air, not body, human body नहीं बात कर रहे, okay, temperature of air, and that too lower atmosphere, that too close to surface of earth, okay, when we are talking. So you know very well the correlation between air temperature and pressure. You know the relationship between, temperature and humidity, that is the moisture content. These are the factors which will impact the pressure. So, let me put it like this, that some place on surface of earth which is 2000 meter above the mean sea level definitely have a different air pressure, and a very low lying area mean sea level there will be a different pressure. Now, being blind to the air pressure, if we only compare the air temperature at the 2 places, we will have a very highly misleading picture about the changing, air temperature. Are you getting it? So wet bulb mechanism is the best way to judge that how the climate is changing in reference to air temperature. अगर air temperature के basis पे study करना है, so what should be the mode? Wet bulb temperature. So wet bulb temperature is the lowest temperature to which air can be cooled by evaporation of water into air at constant pressure, and therefore what we can say, that it is measured by factoring in heat and humidity levels. Okay, so it is, इतना अभी न्यूज में चल रहा है wet bulb temperature. It is, right, it is measured by factoring in 2 things, heat and humidity levels. Humidity levels. And इसमें हम constant किसको रख रहे हैं? Pressure. Pressure is constant, and then we are factoring in heat and humidity to measure the temperature of the air, and this is what is known as wet bulb temperature. But practically how it is measured? You know, wet bulb meaning what? The thermometer bulb. Bulb means what? The one end of the thermometer where the mercury is. Okay, what we will do? In dry bulb temperature, just we will put that thermometer in the air and we'll see, you know, till what point the mercury has expanded and reached, and that will tell us precisely that how much is the dry bulb temperature. But what is wet bulb? We will wrap that bulb with wet clothes. Okay, and clothes ऐसा ही नहीं है जो साइंस के लेबोरेटरी में गलती से कभी गया है. Okay, so wet bulb एक बार अगर wet करके कर दिया, so what, it will start drying, no? So again you will get error in the reading. So what we have to do? The cloth, you know, which we have wrapped, one end of that cloth should be soaked in water. One end should be soaked in water. Then error-free reading will be there. You got it? So what is the prediction? Right? What is the prediction? That अब कुछ cities का नाम याद रखना prelims point of view से, ठीक है? So which city is at what risk? So Mumbai is at risk of sea level rise and flooding. बहुत serious risk है, very high risk. Mumbai is at high risk of sea level rise and flooding. I hope you all know Mumbai, geography जो पढ़ा है. Mumbai is the city of 7 islands. बाद में 2 और ग्रेटर मुंबई में जुड़ा है. Okay, so those who attended Indian geography class, I have told the name for all 7 islands. पूरा हिस्ट्री बताया हूं मुंबई का. किसको डाउरी में मिला था? राइट? ओके, किसको डाउरी में मिला था? किसकी शादी में डाउरी मिला था? ठीक है. एंड बिफोर पोर्टुगीज, यू नो, गेटिंग इट, द सिटी वॉज ruled by which rulers? ये सारा all history part also, right, about Mumbai, which is the financial capital of India. Okay, so Mumbai is at very high risk according to this report for sea level rise and flooding. Ahmedabad, right, Ahmedabad faces serious danger of heat wave. Maximum heat wave का danger अगर one Indian city में है, that is Ahmedabad heat wave. Okay, heat wave. And then, right, then Lucknow and Patna are the cities predicted to reach wet bulb temperature of 35 degrees Celsius. Wet bulb temperature of 35 degrees Celsius. Wet bulb temperature of 35 degree सेल्सियस. और ये जो है ना 35 डिग्री सेल्सियस को बोला जाता है ह्यूमन कैन नॉट टॉलरेट, राइट, दिस वेट बल्ब टेम्परेचर. ओके, दिस 35. सो व्हाट यू शुड रिमेंबर, यू नो, दैट वेट बल्ब टेम्परेचर ऑफ 35 डिग्री इज अनसर्वाइवेबल फॉर मोर देन 6 hours फॉर ह्यूमन बीइंग. ह्यूमन बीइंग कैन सर्वाइव वेट बल्ब टेम्परेचर ऑफ 35 डिग्री सेल्सियस मैक्सिमम फॉर हाउ मच? 6 hours. उसके बाद मर जाएगा. ओके, देन, राइट, देन 31 डिग्री सेल्सियस वेट बल्ब टेम्परेचर इज एक्सीडिंगली हार्मफुल टू ह्यूमन. 31 डिग्री सेल्सियस वेट बल्ब टेम्परेचर इज एक्सीडिंगली हार्मफुल टू ह्यूमन. और एक चीज याद रखना, अगर साइंस का क्वेश्चन दे दिया, इफ दे गिव यू 4 स्टेटमेंट ओनली ऑन वेट बल्ब टेम्परेचर, देन एटलीस्ट यू शुड हैव अंडरस्टैंडिंग. जैसे वेट बल्ब टेम्परेचर और ड्राई बल्ब टेम्परेचर, विच विल ऑलवेज बी हायर? dry bulb temperature will always be higher than wet bulb temperature, number one. And number two, wet bulb temperature is identical to what? Air temperature at 100% relative humidity, right? Wet bulb temperature is what? Identical with, equivalent बोलेंगे तो right word नहीं होगा, right? Identical with what? 100% relative humidity temperature. उस 100% relative humidity पे जो temperature है and pressure is constant, right? Pressure is, at constant pressure we can only take the temperature. Okay. Is this clear? All of you? Okay, all of you. So, किन दो सिटी के लिए प्रिडिक्शन है वेट बल्ब टेम्परेचर ऑफ 35 डिग्री? लखनऊ एंड पटना. और लखनऊ और पटना को लखनऊ एंड पटना एज टू सिटी नहीं देखना है. लखनऊ बीइंग द कैपिटल ऑफ उत्तर प्रदेश, where 1/6 of India is residing, and Patna being the capital of Bihar, where another 1/8 of Indian population is there. The two put together, right? Almost, 32% Indian population is there, 33%. And if this is the state of affair in their capital cities, some other cities which have pollution level much higher than Lucknow and Patna, like Kanpur, like Varanasi, okay, like Muzaffarpur, if you go in Bihar, okay. But then this report has said ये दोनों city बहुत जल्द पहुंचने जा रहे हैं, 35 degree. Then they have said Bhubaneswar, Chennai, Mumbai, Indore, Ahmedabad. Okay, they will reach wet bulb temperature of 32 to 34 degrees Celsius if the current trend of emission continues. सबके लिए qualifying क्या है? Current trend of emission if continues. Current trend of emission if will continue. Okay, you got it? Again I am naming, and you know these cities very well: Bhubaneswar, Chennai, Mumbai, Indore and Ahmedabad. Wet bulb temperature of 32 to 34 degrees Celsius. Okay, and most part of India by the end of this century will have a wet bulb temperature of 30 degrees Celsius. Particularly the conditions will be, miserable in Assam, Meghalaya, West Bengal, Bihar, Jharkhand, Odisha, Chhattisgarh, Uttar Pradesh, Haryana, Punjab. Okay, so most part of India, 30 degrees Celsius wet bulb temperature by the end of century, all parts of India. Okay, but even within this India, many states are there जहाँ पे condition is going to be highly miserable by the end of this century if the current trend of emission continues. Intervention किया तो कोई बात नहीं, ठीक है, अच्छा है. Okay, and अभी थोड़ा सा environment and ecology को थोड़ा सा लिंक कर लेते हैं biodiversity से climate change को, क्योंकि some species का name which figures so prominently in this report. Okay, so prominently in this report. So what they are saying, right? What this report is saying? This report is saying, that species का नाम लिख देता हूँ. Very significant habitat loss will be there. Okay, very significant habitat loss will be there for some of the species. एक तो है आपका giant pandas. Okay, giant pandas. Okay, moose, black muntjac, okay, a snubbed nose monkey, particularly this Sichuan in China, we have this, a snub nosed monkey, okay, and in one province, all the 4 from China. इनका significant habitat loss होगा, okay, and this is in which province of China? Sichuan. Okay, Sichuan snub-nosed monkeys. Okay, then Persian leopard in Iran. It will not be a surprise if they meet extinction on account of complete habitat loss. Okay, so Persian leopard, in which, right, in which country? Iran. Okay, then Bengal tiger, in which country? India, and some population of them in Bangladesh as well. Okay, so Bengal tiger. Okay, 4-tree snail in Thailand. 4-tree snail, and this is in Thailand. Okay, black muntjac, M-U-N-T-J-A-C, black muntjac. Okay, so significant habitat loss for the species. Okay, and that may become reason later for these species even to meet extinction. Okay, when we will study environment, we will study about, we will study about the status of species. Okay, so ICUN, have you heard of that? Okay, if not, we will study. So we will, you just see giant pandas, moose, black muntjac, Sichuan snub-nosed monkey from China, Persian leopard from Iran, 4-tree snail from Thailand, okay, Royal Bengal tigers from India and Bangladesh. All these are going to be, losing the habitat. Habitat is what? The ideal place to live. Okay. So that habitat loss will be there, and that later may become, right, that later may become, this is there. And means severe impact will be there. Asiatic elephant ka, little impact will be there on the Asiatic elephant. Okay, Asiatic elephant के habitat पे little impact will be there. Okay, and the suitable habitat for a snow leopard will increase. Now this is a very, good sign. A snow leopard ka suitable habitat will increase, and this habitat will increase in Afghanistan, Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan, even Mongolia and Russia में snow leopard का habitat will increase. Okay, habitat will increase. For a snow leopard, what is the prediction? Habitat will increase. Okay, and ये बोल रहे हैं, right? क्या बोल रहे हैं? The climate change which is going to happen, ये देखो, invasive plant, and 6 invasive plants from Nepal को बहुत promote करेगा worldwide. You know invasive plant? What they do? If they are introduced in a new place, they will grow so fast, they are so dominant that they will undermine the growth of the native, plant species. And invasive plants are dangerous. They are one of the reason for fast depleting biodiversity. So बोल रहा है क्या कि 6 invasive plants, of Nepal will get promoted. Okay, which are those? Floss flower, bitter bush, इसका नाम ही है bitter bush. Okay, then pignut. Okay, this is in Hindi, but this is the way it is known. If you want, I can give you the scientific name, but that's very difficult. Okay, Lantana camera, but what it is known as Raimunia. Okay, this is the way it is. Okay, then is bitter vine, and then is carrot grass. ये सब lemon grass, carrot grass. Lemon grass is, very good. We are using that. So these 6, right? These 6: floss flower, bitter bush, pignut, Raimunia, bitter vine, and carrot grass. These 6 as invasive plant will reach in all parts of the world. Presently, where we are finding them? In Nepal. नेपाल में क्या है? हिमालयन इकोसिस्टम हाई एल्टीट्यूड में है अभी. Okay, but they are very invasive in nature, and it's going to get promoted, and that will be having severe ill impact on biodiversity. Okay, बाद में आप पढ़ेगा environment तब पता चलेगा. Plants are primary producer. Plant के level पे अगर diversity है, then only क्या होगा? Faunal level पे भी diversity होगा. Floral level पे diversity is very much necessary. If we want diversity at faunal level, plant is the primary producer. Any adverse impact, ठीक है, जो energy cycle के root पे अगर होगा, then it will have, very adverse impact. Okay, so ये report ये भी बोल रहा है, and then this report, right, ये जो group working group 2 report का जो another highlight is, they have assessed the ill impact of climate change. बोला है कि conclusively, right, meaning they have conclusive evidence. Okay, so conclusively, climate change will have adverse effect on physical and mental health of people, physical as well as mental health of people around the world, right, around the world. Okay, and what humanity is going to face? Heat stress, water scarcity, threat to food security, flood risk, and this will impact the physical and mental health. Okay, this is going to impact the physical and mental health. Okay, so what all is going to increase? Heat stress. Anyway, ना, जब थोड़ा भी टेम्परेचर बढ़ता है, एटमॉस्फेरिक टेम्परेचर, हमारा क्या होता है? Irritation level, we feel agitated. Okay, we feel agitated. On small issues, you will lose temper. Okay, that's very natural instinct. Okay, of human being as a species. So heat stress. Okay, then water scarcity. Okay, then threat to food security. अगर nutritious food नहीं मिलेगा तो physical health impact होगा ही. Okay, threat to food security and flood risk. Okay, these are going to adversely impact. Okay, so this is the key highlights. This is the key highlights of what? Working group 2 report, which is the part of preparation of 6th assessment report of IPCC.